I'm going to go through 7.2 income and substitution effects. The first question says, when the price of a good falls, the substitution effect is that when one good gets cheaper, it becomes more attractive to buy that good compared to other goods. There's A here. The good becomes more attractive to consumers compared to other goods. And then question 2 says, when the price of a good falls, the income effect is the fact that it has to take up a large amount of your budget for the income effect to really have a big effect. So if apartments across Riverside get cheaper and cheaper, then I'm going to think about maybe renting a bigger apartment. So that's when the price of a good falls, like apartments, I am in effect richer. And so I'm feeling like maybe I can afford a bigger apartment. Consumers' purchasing power increases, so you can afford more of the good. That's income effect. And then question 3 here. When the price of good one falls, the budget constraint does what? And here's a picture. This is my original budget line. And then if the price of good one falls, the situation with good 2 stays the same. So my y-intercept doesn't change. And my x-intercept shifts out here. I used to be able to only afford this much if I spent all my money on good one. And now I can afford much more if I spend all my money on good one because the price of good one has fallen. So there's 2 things that happened. It's pivoted out and also shifted out. So it pivots to be flatter and it shifts out. The pivots to be flatter part is the substitution effect, and the shifting out part is the income effect, the fact that my purchasing power is higher because of the fall in price of good one, right? And then question 4 says, how do you calculate the substitution effect? So our method is to find m prime. We'll go back to this original drawing. Our choice at the beginning was something like this. Our choice after the change in price is something like this. The total change in the demand for good one because of the price change. And we're going to decompose that total change into 2 effects, which is the substitution effect and the income effect. The substitution effect goes, what if my purchasing power didn't change? Only the relative prices did. So I want to know what's my choice on this blue line. Maybe it's right here. We're going to find that choice by plugging into the demand curve the new prices. We want these relative prices, not these ones, right? New prices and an income M prime. Because if we use the income M, we're right here. We have to back our purchasing power up to say our purchasing power held constant, we can still afford this original bundle. What is our choice given these new relative prices? So new prices and M prime, which is we can just afford the original bundle. Which is the correct answer? Find the consumer's demand for good one given only the pivot of the budget constraint. Yes, it's only the pivot by finding M prime, which is the income required to just afford the original bundle given new prices. So that's what I'm looking for there. And then question 5, how do you calculate the income effect? So once we found that substitution effect, we know that it goes from X1 substitution effect, and then X1 prime. So going from here to here, that's the total effect on the demand for good one given the price change. And going just from here to here, that's the substitution effect. Going from here to here is the income effect. Once we do this M prime business, we can find out these things. We've already found out the total changes. We can say the total change minus the substitution effect. That's what the income effect is. We subtract the substitution effect demand for good one from the new demand for good one. That's how I find the income effect. Then question 6 says, Let the inverse demand function for good 1 be x1 equals 7 plus m over 6p1. If the consumer has income m is 24, p1 is 2, and good 2 is the composite good, find the demand for good 1. So we just plug in those numbers to this demand function. You get x1 is 7 plus m is 24. And then p1 is 2. So we get 7 plus 24 over 12, 7 plus 2, which is 9. Okay. Now, continuing, find the demand for good 2. We want this initial bundle, this original bundle, x1, x2. So we found x1, now we need to find x2. The x2 is a composite good. That just means the money left over once you've spent on good 1. So what's our expenditure on good 1? P1 x1, which here is 2 times 9, or 18. How much do we have left over? Our income is 24. 24 minus 18, we have $6 left. So the demand for good 2, the money we have left over is 6. And our original bundle is 9, 6. So if P1 falls to 1, find the new demand for good 1, x1 prime. We're going to find x1 substitution effect. We already found this. We're going to do this. Right now, we're going to find x1 prime. That's the total change in demand from the price change. So all we do is we plug in all these numbers to this demand equation. The price falls to 1, and it was 2 before. So I'll get x1 is 7 plus 24 over 6, and the price P1 has fallen to 1. We get x1 is 7 plus 24 divided by 6 is 4, so we get 11. Initially, we started out with a demand for good 1 of 9. Now we're at a demand for good 1 of 11. And now all we have to do is find this number, and we can figure out the substitution effect and the income factor. So we'll decompose the total change in demand as a result of the change in price into a substitution effect and an income effect. Let's start with the substitution effect. I want to find M prime, the income the consumer would need to just afford the original bundle under new prices. What is the original bundle? It is 9,6. What are the new prices? 1, 1. I said the price of good 1 falls to 1, and the price of the composite good is always 1 because it's the money left over. If you have $1 left over, that costs you $1. The price of good 2 is always going to stay at 1 for all of these problems. So what is my expenditure? If I buy 9 units of good 1 at a price of 1, it's 9. 6 units of good 2 at a price of 1, that's 6. So my income M prime is 15. And that's the income, if you look back at my picture, this is the income of 24. This blue line here is the income of 15. I have to take my income back $9 in order to just afford this, so we can isolate what's the change in demand from the change in relative prices and not from this purchasing power effect. Okay, so we get 15 as M prime. Now we find X1 SE. X1 SE is the substitution effect demand. The change in demand just because of the change in relative prices, not the change in purchasing power. We just look at the demand function, 7 plus M over 6P1. And this is going to be our M prime, 15. This P1 is the new prices. Now, this is just the change from that pivot. So that'll be the new prices, which is 1 here. So I get 7 plus 15 over 6. And that is, let's see. This is 3 times 2. This is 3 times 5. I can cancel out a 3. So I get 7 plus 5 halves, or 7 plus 2.5, which is 9.5. That's what I got there. Now we interpret. Our X1 was 9. Then it went up to 9.5 just because of the pivot. And then it went up to 11 because of the increased purchasing power. So that means our substitution effect is just the change here. 9.5 minus 9, which is 0.5. Our income effect is 11 minus 9.5, which is 1.5. Altogether, the income plus the substitution effect will always equal the total effect. So 0.5 plus 1.5 is 2. That's the total effect of the change in price. And the last question, which dominates? What's larger? The income effect is 1.5. Substitution effect is only 0.5. So the income effect is the effect that dominates here. Income effect is larger. Change in demand is mostly driven from the consumer's purchasing power increasing when this good became cheaper. And that's it. So tricky question, but you can practice it a million times on that practice page with different numbers and check your answer. I think practice will make perfect.